What are we discussing?
What's the point?
What are we discussing?
Okay, let's get your reaction, because I could see that you're angling to say
Yes. First and foremost, the question you asked on whether the funding is enough. My quick answer is that the funding is not enough. But having said that, even the amount that's been allocated, how is it being utilized? That's something people should look into. The corruption that is pervading the country is not leaving out the health sector. But I don't want us to deviate from the reason why we are here. We are here to talk about the NMA strike. And the issue is it a strike that is justified or not? I must say something which he alluded to, and that is the fact that the major driving force of this strike is not about developing the health system. It's about increasing the gap between the status of the medical practitioners and the health professionals.
Other health workers.
If you observe,
I'm sorry to interject, but you must note that out of the, to borrow Mr. Akintayo's words, out of the 24 commandments, there are some of them that are actually important to the
are
health
some.
sector.
But if you observe, what has been coming to the front burner has been issues pertaining to the relativity, directors, consultancy status, issue of DC mark, which borders about the gap between the medical practitioners and the the other health professionals. For instance, why would you say a health professional should not rise to the peak of his or her career, which is director? In the first instance, who are you to determine how another profession evolves? You are the one to tell them how they are employed. You are the one to tell them how they advance. You have to tell them where they get to. You have to tell them how to practice. For goodness sake, this is 21st century. We are no longer in the Hippocratic age. Who are you to say that it's only medical practitioners that can be awarded the status of consultant? Even engineers have consultant. What is consultant?
But where in the world do you find a consultant nurse?
Almost
Everywhere
everywhere.
in the world.
From the UK, I have come to this. Sorry, I'm not taking it from him. From the UK to the US, just Google
Consultant nurse.
Consultant nurse,
Consultant nurse,
consultant
consultant pharmacist,
radiographer,
consultant physiotherapist.
every other cadre.
And
in the health
well, the category, because I could say I was a consultant project manager.
We have
So,
in the media practitioners.
In the IT industry,
let me
in
say
my
this.
previous life. But that means that you're coming to work to consult for an organization. But it's a different,
let me say
it's
this.
a different
Let
kettle
me-
of
it's
fish with the
important.
medical sector.
Because our social commentator put on the record that in all of this, what is in this for consumers of health? And I say, the consultancy status for other cadres in health is a benefit package made available to improve services in healthcare. Let me give you a few specific instances. In pharmacy, for instance, this was a process, it passed through due process. For you to be recognized as a consultant in public service, it has to go through the National Council of Establishments. The National Council of Establishments is a body that comprises of head of services of the 36 states and the FCT, and the head of service of the Federation is the chairman. Now that shows you that the high caliber of persons or personnel who form that very sensitive platform. They gave an approval in 2011 to us in pharmacy through the fellowship of the West African Postgraduate College of Pharmacists. And I give you a specific example, just one. Today in Nigeria, cancer is becoming a major occurrence because of the changing environment and all of that. Now, when you're a cancer patient, most people tend to get whole before they develop it. Don't forget, a cancer patient most likely would also be hypertensive, it might be diabetic, it comes with glaucoma and all that. Now, it needs to begin to swallow more drugs than ever before. The complexities that arise with managing this drug regimen has changed from what it ever used to be. So you need a new cadre of pharmacists. And that's a trend all over the world. Oncology pharmacists who manage this regimen. They come up with personalized care plans on the usage of medicines for these specific clinical disease states. Now, this is the benefit package. Consultancy in pharmacy offers in one clinical disease state. If Mr. Shotiloye begins to tell you what he does in UCH, there is a cardiac program in UCH. There is a cardiopulmonary physiotherapist I know who is part of that team. He has specific responsibilities because consultancy is about specialized skills to improve competence. Now, if we are embracing rational logic, why would anybody choose to oppose it? Because you are ego-driven. It's just about egocentricity. Because it is the consultancy status some doctors perceive that makes them big men. So other people should not get to that height. And that is what this is all about. But I have a message for medical doctors in Nigeria here. I want to say this with a sense of responsibilities. Traditional roles have changed, and they will keep changing. The sciences are very dynamic. And if you choose not to move with this dynamism, you'll be either consumed or you'll be kept permanently in some trenches. Even housewives, even wives, sorry. The traditional roles of our wives used to be to stay at home, to keep the home front running, prepare meals for the family, take care of laundry. Today, it has changed. Women are CEOs of big multinational firms. In some countries, women have become presidents and head of states, and I think they are doing very well. So, the paradigm is that these roles have changed. The order has changed for good forever, even in the health sector. And it is a reality that doctors have to contend with. I have always said this to those of them who are my friends. You need to go and familiarize with the ethics of the World Medical Association. It's a document every doctor needs to familiarize with.
Sorry, before Mr. Shotiloye will say anything, let me just ask you, are you by any chance limiting all of this down to the fact that the doctors are fighting for superiority within the sector rather than looking at the interest of the sector and saying that there are so many things that are wrong with it and the federal government should do something about that?
Unfortunately, whichever way you look at it, these factors you're bringing up are interwoven. There is no how you discuss the interests of the health sector without looking at the superiority complex some persons tend to bring to bear on that sector. Look, I have worked with doctors. Some of the doctors, I belong to 2 different boards at state and federal level. And some of the doctors I work with on those platforms are some of the best people that you might ever want to work with. I see doctors. The leadership, some persons in the leadership of the NMA will tell me, Olumide, I think we should work together. This thing is not good. We wash our dirty linens in public. But what I see constantly is a proclivity from these persons who tend to want to relate with me on subordinate basis, or subordinate rather than coordinate basis. I refuse and I reject that type of relationship. I reject it. By the special grace of God, I am not a person who is consumed by persecution or inferiority complex. I trained in the finest tenets, traditions of a professional. I do not want to begin to drum up some of those things, but it is important that I say this again. As pharmacists on the platform of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, we do not want to take anything away from any profession or group of people, but we also expect that persons or people do not take privileges that should naturally accrue to us. It is the height of insults for the NMA to take a position that people cannot be consultants in pharmacy and some other health professions. It is
part of the...
Oh yes, it's part of the demand.
Now,
they say people cannot get to... They are protesting that cadres... And when I agree with my brother that this is politics, well, we have to play it. You cannot say people cannot assume directorship in the health profession. I need to point this out, please. These relevant schemes of service provide that a university graduate, whether you train in Ijaw language, Yoruba, Islamic religious knowledge, or Christian religious knowledge, once you are a university graduate, the scheme of service for university graduates presumes that you can get to the apogee on grade level 17 in the public service. Now, why would you deny health professionals